I put my lifetime in between the paper's lines. I'm the quiet storm nigga who fight rhyme. P, yeah, you heard of him, but I ain't concerned with them.
His last words be something that was a concerted effort by, you know, me, ALC, Prodigy's family.
With the new Mobb Deep album coming out, the hip-hop world is once again looking back at one of its most influential voices, Prodigy.
We want our sound to be like the lifestyle that we live in, the lifestyle that, you know, we grew up in. The beats just naturally came out like dark, sinister sounding shit, so.
His words and delivery shaped New York rap in the 90s, and even years after his passing, his influence is still strong. This new project isn't just another release, but it's a way to honor his memory and bring his unfinished work back to the world.
Were you ever hesitant to do a new Mobb Deep album?
Nah, hell no.
No?
You know what I'm saying? I was really fiending to do a Mobb Deep album because I just knew Prodigy had some unfinished business.
But there's always been a question about how we should look at Prodigy's career. Should he be remembered as one half of Mobb Deep, the group that gave us classic albums like The Infamous, or should we place equal weight on his solo career? Starting with H.N.I.C, where he stepped out on his own and proved he didn't need a group to make an impact. This video takes a closer look at both sides, the group, the solo path, to define Prodigy's true legacy. Is he a Mobb Deep legend or H.N.I.C superstar? On September 10th, 2025, Havoc appeared on Revolt, talking about his new album, which is filled with Prodigy's verses. For him, it wasn't just about making new music, but it was about honoring Prodigy's legacy. He felt like Prodigy had unfinished business, and releasing those final words properly mattered deeply. There were verses sitting on his computer that his family gave to Havoc personally.
You know, when you got music and it's just sitting in the computer, that shit don't do nobody no good.
Now, they are shaping these verses into something meaningful, with input from Havoc, Alchemist, and Prodigy's family. This way, Prodigy's voice and artistry wouldn't fade out unfinished, but instead remain part of a crafted, intentional project. The new album, Infinite, has 14 to 16 songs, and each song has Prodigy's verses on it.
How many songs is Prodigy on?
All of them.
All of them? Oh, wow. Crazy.
Wow. He on all, I mean, you know what I'm saying?
How many songs is it?
14.
The most exciting part is that none of these verses are recycled, but they were in the stash, ready to come in front of the world. Havoc and Alchemist are making sure the sonic feel still nods to the classic Mobb Deep sound, while giving it a modern touch so it doesn't feel locked in the past.
It's the ring around the rolling, pocket full of old men, ashes to ashes, all my fallen soldiers reminds me to bring my.
One of the key names involved is Nas, who has a long-standing relationship with Prodigy in Queensbridge. His involvement raises expectations that this album will bridge generations. Also, the label Mass Appeal is handling the rollout, which helps with how the music reaches audiences far and wide.
That's the power that Mobb Deep had at that time, or the impact.
This new project naturally brings us back to the man at the center of it all. Born Albert Johnson on November 2nd, 1974, Prodigy grew up in New York and would later become one of the most distinctive voices in hip-hop. Sadly, he passed away on June 20th, 2017, at just 42 years old. He was in the hospital due to complications from sickle cell anemia, a disease he had battled his entire life. When he died, everyone thought that this disease was the reason for his death, but the Clark County Medical Examiner's report told the world that the real reason for his death was accidental choking on the egg. Despite his struggles, Prodigy never let them define him. His voice, his writing, and his presence on records gave him a lasting place in music, and that's exactly what the new album continues to showcase. This reflection on Prodigy's life leads directly into how his career began. Even before Mobb Deep became a household name, music was in Prodigy's blood. His family was deeply connected to the arts. His grandfather was a jazz musician, and his mother was in the girl group, The Crystals. Growing up in New York during the late 80s and early 90s, hip-hop was everywhere, and it gave him a way to channel his experiences into words. As a teenager, Prodigy teamed up with another Queens native, Kiwan Walik Wichita, better known as Havoc. These two teenagers have passion in them, and their relentless persistence made Q-Tip notice them.
Q-Tip came out the building, we asked him to listen to us, and he stopped. He was like, all right. He listened to our shit. He was like, yo, where y'all from? I'm from Queens, yo. And he was like, yo, I like y'all. He was like, come in the office, I'm gonna introduce y'all to some people.
Teenage Prodigy and Havoc used to sit outside different companies with Walkmans and demo tapes. Whenever any celebrity or the person they know came outside, they would run to them and request them to listen to their rap. Everyone brushed them off until Q-Tip noticed them. He stepped in front of them, listened to their rap, invited them into his office, and introduced them to people like Chris Lighty. From that point forward, they weren't just two kids rapping on the block. They were participants at industry parties, talent shows, and networking circles where they could win attention and build a name. Together, they formed Mobb Deep. They released their first album, Juvenile Hell, in 1993, which didn't give them the fame they were looking for.
Illmatic was just incredible, like work of art, sonically, lyric, everything, man. It was just like, wow, like, you know what I mean? It made us look at ourselves like, what the f was we doing? Like, you know what I mean? Listen to the masterpiece.
That self-awareness was crucial. It shifted their focus from chasing trends to figuring out who Mobb Deep actually was and how to make that identity audible. They knew they didn't have another chance, so they gave their creativity and full effort into the next album.
And we was like, yo, we ain't gonna get another chance after this. If we flop again, it's over.
The real turning point came 2 years later, in 1995, when they released The Infamous. This album cemented Mobb Deep's place in hip-hop history. With Havoc's dark, haunting production and Prodigy's sharp, unforgettable lyrics, the duo created a sound that felt raw and honest. Tracks like Shook Ones Part 2 and Survival of the Fittest didn't just become classics. They became anthems that painted vivid pictures of street survival and inner struggle.
Kill put us together, it's like mixing vodka and milk. I'm going out blasting, taking my enemies with me, and if not, they scar so they will never forget me.
The success of The Infamous was only the beginning. Riding that momentum, Mobb Deep doubled down with Hell on Earth in 1996. This project pushed their sound even darker and more aggressive, with Prodigy's rhymes cutting through Havoc's production like a blade. The album connected with fans who felt that raw energy, and it proved Mobb Deep wasn't just a one-hit wonder. They were shaping the sound of New York rap during one of its most competitive eras. By 1996, they reached new heights with Quiet Storm, which became a defining anthem in late 90s hip-hop. The remix with Lil' Kim turned it into a cultural movement, showing that Mobb Deep could dominate both the streets and the charts. At this point, Prodigy's voice had become instantly recognizable. Calm, cold, and commanding, with a delivery that stood out even in a crowded field of legends. This recognition pushed Prodigy to think about a solo career. He had stories to tell beyond the duo's identity, and that drive eventually led him toward a solo project, H.N.I.C. This project was released on November 14, 2000, and it was recorded between 1998 and 2000. While H.N.I.C. stood apart as Prodigy's first solo effort, it also showed him branching out beyond Havoc's production, working with Alchemist, Rockwilder, Just Blaze, Easy LP, and even producing some tracks himself. Prodigy's H.N.I.C. trilogy was packed with the kind of gritty, observational rhymes that stretched across more than a decade of his life, almost like a diary written in music. The first H.N.I.C. in 2000 was his boldest leap, 22 tracks that proved he could stand alone, with raw street tales like Keep It Thorough. That track became the breakout single. Moreover, he urges listeners to stay alert to life's dangers in Genesis, exposes inauthentic wannabe thugs, and also reveals his vulnerabilities in ways he hadn't before, particularly on You Can Never Feel My Pain. By the time H.N.I.C. 2 arrived in 2008, he was older, sharper, and carrying the weight of knowing a prison sentence was about to pause his career. That urgency gave the album a darker, more reflective edge, as if he was getting everything off his chest before the bars closed behind him. Real Power is People, Illuminati, ABC, and Veterans Memorial Part 2 became immensely famous among fans as they explored the themes of police corruption, secret societies, and street violence.
Listen, it don't matter who poppin' for the moment. P is forever. It don't matter what's the new hot shit. My shit better.
Then came H.N.I.C. 3 in 2012, released after his prison stint, where Prodigy sound renewed but also battle-hardened. He featured aggressive debate on life, prison, religion, and conspiracy theories over captivating beats. That's why H.N.I.C. stands as a personal classic for his fans. Some even rank it right alongside Quiet Storm as one of the defining records of Prodigy's career. While his solo catalog didn't suppress the group's legacy in terms of sales or mainstream impact, it added layers to who Prodigy was as an artist. And this took us to our original question: how should Prodigy be remembered? On one hand, there's Mobb Deep Prodigy, one half of one of the greatest rap duos of all time. Alongside Havoc, he gave the world immortal New York City street anthems, songs that still echo from car speakers and stage shows decades later. On the other hand, there's solo Prodigy, the H.N.I.C., who wasn't afraid to step out on his own. His solo album wasn't as successful as his group projects, but it is near to the hearts of his fans. The truth is, his legacy can't be split down the middle. Prodigy is both the backbone of Mobb Deep and the solo artist who carved his own lane. Together, those two paths tell the full story of his artistry. What do you think about this? Share your thoughts in the comments section. And if you liked the video, hit the subscribe button, smash the like button, and share it with other hip-hop lovers.